Jake
Yay.
Shepard, what is up, my friend? It is Dan Thompson. We are taking over Taylor's Facebook page, his LinkedIn page, his Periscope, everything. He's out. He's on vacation.
Rookie.
So shout out to Big T. But we're taking over. It's a social media takeover, Jake.
Hey, we're honored. I probably should have worn more of a floral shirt and glasses though, to like kind of in honor of Taylor at this point. Rookie mistake.
That's what I'm saying. I have a bit of a floral pattern to this shirt. But we'll work on that for next time. Well, thanks everybody for joining. No, I mean, this is amongst my most favorite parts of the week because I get to talk to Jake. Usually I get to talk to Taylor too, but it allows us to talk about things that we're dealing with, that we know that you're dealing with. So as always, we want you guys to engage in conversation in our chat. Let us know you're here. Let us know how excited you are about the week. Tell us whatever's on your mind. Feel free to add in commentary, and we absolutely want to share. So,
as long as one of us has coffee, Taylor is in spirit. Thank you, Andrew.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I love it, Andrew. So, Jake, with that being said, before we started, we talked about a candidate that we both mutually know now, and we're talking about a kind of CTO role. Right, he's a guy that's looking to make a move, and at the end of the day, he's really looking at checking every single box, right, of what he's looking for. And sometimes you and I were just talking about, sometimes you just have to seize an opportunity to learn, even if it's not the perfect fit for you. Sometimes it's just about learning. But Jake, talk to me a little bit about kind of what your thoughts are on what opportunity presents itself, and how you kind of mentally go through that.
Yeah, man. I mean, especially in the remote world, I definitely believed this before the remote world, but even more so now, any opportunity that you have to get in front of a founder, an investor, a leader in any, literally, in my opinion, any company, maybe don't let it be 8 hours with the founder of, a coffee shop, unless you're trying to get into that. Right. But anytime you have that opportunity, take the meeting, grow your network, connect with them on LinkedIn, add value, ask for value, and go from there. We see so many people nowadays that, and I totally get it. You're completely burned out on Zoom. You're burned out on just trying, especially if you've been in the job market, or if you've been looking for that next investment opportunity or that next partner or that technical co-founder, and you've been talking to so many people, just pressing through. And I feel like there's been a lot of missed opportunity just simply from inaction over the last year, especially. There's been quite a few people that have made. We'll use Bitcoin as an example here. All right.
Sure.
Speaking of missed opportunity for those of us who got rid of it too early, or did not buy early enough. I have multiple friends here in the Raleigh-Durham area. One literally just bought their house off, paid their house off because they had bought it at I think they bought it at like 3,700. Or something like that. Put in like 50 grand at that point, just because they had it, right?
Sure.
And I was over here like, I'll probably put in a couple $100, see what happens. That sounds cool. That seems rookie mistake. How
about the guy that bought 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin that are now valued at over $500 million? What do you think's going through that guy's
damn
mind?
Good pizza.
I bet, dude, it was Papa John's. Of course it was. So Jake, you bring up a great point about never trying to miss out on an opportunity. But if you go seek it, or even if you don't seek, there's really not enough time in the day to explore every opportunity, right?
Yeah.
How do you mentally? I know you touched a little bit about the coffee shop example and trying to figure out where it aligns, but sometimes there's a discussion about, hey, maybe this doesn't exactly align with what I'm doing, but I can still learn. What are some things on a mental checklist that you do to evaluate opportunity?
Man, good question. I like it. Knowing when to say no through the conversation, more importantly, I think even at the beginning of the conversation, to know that, hey, just because I'm meeting with someone does not obligate me to say yes to whatever is happening in this conversation. But it does obligate me as a human, now knowing another human, to try in some capacity to either glean wisdom for myself or give wisdom to someone else. And I think that even that reciprocation at a very high level, you can always find some sort of value. And if you literally can't find any value, or if you have nothing to give to that person, you can always give like a word of encouragement or something, right? Just, hey man, good for you. It's not, I would have never thought of that. So happy that you did, because it's clearly working out for you. You know, I'm probably not the best partner for you, or investor, or employee, or, you know, insert wherever you are. Yeah, knowing your goals and knowing how to provide value quickly and knowing when to say no is probably the top three. I think it goes back to our theme we've had for so long of just knowing your goal, like knowing your drivers, knowing your personal brand, knowing your personal overall career, life, legacy goals.
And no, absolutely, Jake. You make a you make a great point there. I really like what you were saying, just about aligning with what your goals or your personal mission is. And I think it's important to always kind of know what you're trying to achieve. And there's a lot to say in life about trying to figure out where life is going to take you. And we don't always know, but I do think it's important to kind of roadmap, or what are some key things that I'm looking for? What are some key words that I'm looking for? Or if an opportunity does present itself to me, whether it's a new job, an investment opportunity, an opportunity to join maybe a meetup group or something else, it's, you know, where does this align? But also to give yourself, I like to think of like this 80-20 rule that we always talk about, like in life, but like in terms of like, sometimes you just have to let life take you a little bit too, right? Like you can plan a good portion of it, but always be open to hearing, and always be open to learn. You know, I always say this, that the conversations are free. Conversations can be valuable. Take them, learn from people. Whether you're in the entertainment business and you talk to somebody that's in the coffee business, you can probably learn something from them. Or if you're a CTO and you're trying to learn more about, you know, and you're in the, I don't know, Thai food space, right? Whatever it is, like there's just one right outside the building here, right? So whatever it is, you could probably learn something from that person, and there's going to be something valuable if you allow yourself to be open to that. And I think some of that is like some abstract thinking that sometimes we don't encourage in our conversations enough.
Well, I think some of the to your point, being able to learn from anyone, you know, there's pride issues there sometimes. You know, I know that as I was coming up, especially, I feel like I've definitely, you know, been humbled and had to humble myself a few times to know where to find knowledge, where to find wisdom, and being able to ask from anybody and find something, you know. But some of that is, if you feel like you've already arrived or you already know everything, you know, you've automatically, in my mind, taken multiple steps backwards, you know, because you just don't have that. You can always be learning, right? Even some of the best players are still going to be practicing, right?
Right. Absolutely.
You don't just stop just because you made it to the NBA. No, like you keep learning, learn new tricks, learn from your opponents, learn from your teammates, you know. And I feel like the same way in business, same way in career, same way in life. You know, how are you going to keep getting better, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so Jake, well, I want to kind of hit on that a little bit more. I mean, you talked a little bit about always getting better. I would say, to me, the most important thing that we can do just as people is be open to hearing other people's stories. And that's something that I've learned a lot from recently, is that everybody that's in this world and in this thing that we call life has a story, has a goal, has, you know, steps that they've taken along the way that I think can be valuable. And so this is where it goes back, and we harken back to the example that we used at the beginning about, you know, a CTO, you know, candidate saying, hey, I'm just not sure. Historically, I've heard that industry is X. Historically, the people that I've worked with or come from that industry are Y. There's a lot of kind of preconceived notion of, you know, certain things that just sometimes opening up to just hearing. And this isn't, you know, a critique of this individual person, as much as it just like it brings about a bigger point that I think that we need to start discussing more just as a society is knowing that other people's, you know, valuable steps that they've taken in life, whether they don't feel like they, you know, completely align with yours, are probably going to allow you to share some opportunity, and being able to find where those shared examples are, or those shared traits are, or those shared experiences are by opening up and having those discussions, with people that are around you, and being open to sharing your story as well, and being vulnerable. I know Taylor would love that we talked about vulnerability on this
it's his favorite word. Yeah.
For sure.
Taylor. But I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, some of the immense problems that just America has in general about just being able to find commonality across different political parties, different religions, different races, just being purposeful about finding the commonality and respecting one another and learning from one another and ultimately connecting for a solution. It's very hard to find in a remote world, especially if you're not able just to share a drink with someone and start having a conversation or a coffee, and so you have to be so much more purposeful to better yourself and to not push your own agenda and to ask real questions.
I love that. I love that. Jake, from a practical perspective, you do really, really good job at being extrovert and going out and meeting people, doing meetup groups and everything else. Obviously, this world for the better part of 11 months now has kind of been shut down, except here in Florida. They're acting like this thing doesn't exist. But what are some ways practical ways that people can go about trying to learn from others or meet others or learn about opportunity or frankly, just engage a little bit more with folks that are a little bit different than them?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is to start with who you do know outside your friend group, because I do feel like it doesn't take more than a few questions to get to know someone more than the average person does. Just that question behind the question, which is a great book, by the way, QBQ, question behind the question.
No.
If you haven't heard that.
Love to.
Good follow-ups. But other than that, I mean, start with your neighborhood. We've been doing like socially distant walk and talks. We'll meet someone. We'll just say, hey, do you want to go walk at this park? And
sure.
And we learn. It's been absolutely fantastic. And then I was reading the other day that the most vulnerable from a sharing perspective pose for conversation is actually side by side, because it promotes automatically the mentality of equality as you're walking side by side together versus facing each other. So I thought that was really interesting, because it makes it more comfortable. The conversations that I've had just in the last few months from just walking distanced in a park with just random people is absolutely awesome. Especially people that I didn't really know before. So I'm going to leave it at that, because me, I've always wanted to be in a restaurant or at a place, bringing a bunch of people together, and now just those more intimate conversations and asking those questions has been really eye-opening, really fun.
Dude, I love that. I love that. Love it. So Jake, I guess my final question to you is, outside of being able to meet in person, is there some practical and tactical ways people can do that on social media and connecting with folks?
That's you, buddy. Man, I'm so bad at social media. I definitely DM people that I've met in person before on social media and catch ups that way. But from a cold outreach perspective, the only way I do cold outreaches is if I read an article about someone or a company and I'm literally just so astounded by the successes they've had that I'll DM them and say, hey, I read about you in this article. Just wanted to say I was inspired. Thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. I had no other, I don't need anything from you. I just wanted to say thanks. If you wanted to ever connect or if you ever need anything, happy to help. I believe in your vision.
Sure. No, maybe we can get into more of this next week, because Taylor does a really good job of engaging people with social media. They always say like the 8th layer of hell is the comment section of a newspaper article or Twitter or wherever. But and I do think it's super important. And I think that it starts with finding people that have similar interests to you. I know we talked about this probably 6-8 months ago when we talked about moving to a new city and trying to find a job. Outside of working with a recruiter, is try to find people that have some shared interests with you. We've used the same college. Maybe they have some of the same keywords. Maybe they come from the same industry. Whatever it is, I do think it's important to always try to engage with new people. Maybe there's an article that somebody posted. You're like, man, that was an awesome. That really spoke to me. And reaching out to the author of that, or maybe there's somebody that had a really good comment to an article that says, hey, I really like your train of thought, and you hit them up on, LinkedIn or Twitter and just say, hey, I really enjoyed that. And who knows where that conversation might go. But frankly, it's so important to be able to, to try to find people that you can engage with and talk with and try to learn from. Amy brought it up a little bit earlier, and we posted up there that learning is life. It ends when we stop learning. Challenge yourself to learn something new every day. Challenge yourself to read something that's maybe contradictory to the way that you normally think about something or an opinion that you have on something. And more importantly, and the last thing that we're going to harken back to, Jake, we've talked about this entire thing, is always be open to where a conversation might go and the opportunity that might present itself on the other side of that conversation. So, with that being said, that brings us to like almost 16 minutes. That was a good conversation, Jake. Always enjoy chatting with you. Want to shout out to Andrew Miller, incredible guy, always hopping in. Mo Haseen, shout out to you. Jeet, shout out to India, and you joining us from the other side of the world. And Bettina, we will make sure that Taylor brings the Corgi Cup next time.
We're going to give away a Corgi Cup with the unicorn horn one of these days. I'm going to get one. We got to. Well, perfect, Jake. Always great chatting with you, bud. Really enjoy our times together on Wednesday. Check us out, theunicornfinders.com. If you haven't, like and subscribe to us on any major podcast platform. Follow us on LinkedIn. I think it's just LinkedIn whatever you need to .com/Ian/the Unicorn Finders. Follow us there. Try to put out new content as much and as often as we can. Other than that, we look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great day, everyone.
Ta-ta.